Hey up everyone, and welcome to the first part of my audiobook, Pocket Hunter. Introduction. So where to begin? In recent months, I've thought long and hard about how my journey into field sports began. I've regressed, and my earliest recollection is reading the book Tarka the Otter. I think I'll have been about 7 years old and only just started to read well, and the memories of Tarka's pursuit by the hunting hounds and his exploits to evade capture are still vivid today. This led to me reading other books, and one that sticks in the mind is Watership Down. I remember the antics of Bigwig and his accomplices attempting to reach safe haven. I grew up in an area of Sheffield that was surrounded by different places that offer adventure. The desire to explore and understand the wider world intrigued me and my two younger brothers. Just up the road from the house I spent my early days in was a gennel that led to the city cemetery. The gennel was named Frog Walk. For young boys, this was a place of excitement and mischief. The gennel was aptly named. We used to catch young frogs and transport them back home to makeshift ponds that we would build in our back garden. The Porterbrook River ran over the wall at the back of my garden, and a few miles downstream merged with the River Sheaf and then into the River Don. As a young boy of maybe 10 years old, accompanied by my brothers and friends, we would river walk upstream to the local park. During our walks, we would upturn river stones and catch bullheads. We even came across the odd lamprey. Further up the river, as we approached the park, we would come to a tunnel which flowed under the road. It's here that we began to notice a wild trout living at the bottom of the weir. On the same road that I lived, there were two butcher's shops, no more than a 2-minute walk from my house. The sight of the fresh game hanging outside the shops used to intrigue my young mind. I remember parting with some spending money to buy a bag of sprats, and then we would hurriedly make our way back to the river and weir and feed the trout. The sight of them darting to the surface to snatch the silver bait planted a seed that became irresistible. As a youngster, I was lucky to have grandparents that owned a touring caravan. Over subsequent years of my youth, I travelled the length and breadth of the UK, visiting some truly wild spaces. I can't be sure, but I have a feeling being submerged in these places was one factor that led me to the outdoor life. One memory that I recall well is being in Culloden in Scotland and seeing the fog rolling down the Island Valley. With me only being young, it scared the life out of me, and I don't think it helped when my nana called it the Scotch Mist. I have a lot to thank my grandparents George and Doreen for. They helped me become a well-rounded person, and I'd like to think they instilled good morals in me too. As I approached my teenage years, my grandparents upgraded to a larger static caravan and sited it permanently on a site at Skipsey on the Yorkshire East Coast. This is a place which set the seed and developed a passion for fishing. There were 2 coarse fishing ponds that were well stocked. My weekends usually spent earning extra spending money by working at my grandparents' fish and chip shop in Chesterfield. And when the school holidays came around, we would head to Skipsey. The extra money I had was used to buy my first fishing setup. And one of the best memories is sitting on the bankside on a sunny Sunday afternoon and my nan visiting to fetch me a full Sunday roast. The older fishing folk were in awe of my bankside delight. Skipsey was only a short distance from Bridlington, an old historic fishing town on the east coast. We would make regular trips to the town, and I remember watching the trawlers come into the harbour to unload their catch. The fresh smell of fish and boxes full of crabs got me interested in sea fishing. My granddad used to drop me at the harbour while he would go for supplies, and I would handline off the jetty. The catch would vary between coalfish, flatties, and on the odd occasion eels. We would take the cold fish home to the caravan and my nan would rustle up a meal for me and my brothers. While I was fishing, I noticed smaller boats unloading fishermen with their spoils of the day on the jetty side. Then I saw the signs for the deep sea fishing trips. I remember one day, after my granddad had picked me up, we were walking back to the car while I enjoyed a tub of whelks. Still a firm favourite of mine even to this day. And I just mentioned how I had seen the men on the boats, and before I knew it, he asked me if I would like to go out on the boat for the day. Only a few days later, me and one of my brothers were at the harbour in the early hours, loaded onto the boat and sent to sea with the men. The first trip we went on was an 8-hour wreck fishing adventure. We travelled around Flamborough Head and headed out until the land was a distant sight. The trip started well and we all started catching a few pollock. And then all of a sudden, and out of nowhere it seems, a swell came up and we were caught in a storm. I don't know how true it is, but as I got older, I was told later, the area we were fishing was notorious for different tides and swells colliding, and rough seas could happen without warning. Fishing was impossible, and it felt like we were just trying to survive the elements. All the fishermen, including me and my brother, were sat on the box in the middle of the boat. I think it was the wood that covered the engine room. We all literally had our arses on the box and our legs overstretched and locked onto the edge of the boat. This was necessary to prevent going overboard. The boat listed from side to side, and at times you were eye to eye with the wild North Sea. Thankfully, the young skipper led us to safety, and we returned home some hours later to the harbour. Me and my brother had a weight on our hands to be picked up from our agreed point by my granddad. Even though we were safe and on dry land for a few hours, it felt like the North Sea was fixed to our feet. It took a while to recover from the adventure, but as young lads it felt amazing to be in the company of tough men. My granddad enjoyed a few cheeky pints, and he would allow me a couple too. So it would be a regular occurrence to walk home from the pub on site in the late afternoon. It was maybe a 10-minute walk. I could still visualise the abundance of rabbits I would see around the caravans and hedgerows. And on one particular evening, a feeling overwhelmed me, and it was right then that the hunting urge began to flow through my veins. That evening, on my way home, I decided I would catch one of the rabbits I was seeing. Me and my brothers decided we would make some homemade snares from old shoelaces. We set a few in the hedgerow behind our caravan and eagerly awaited the next morning to check. A few days passed by, and every day there was a little disappointment at seeing empty snares. But then one morning, there it was, a slightly browny grey figure laid in the edge. We looked at each other and the biggest smiles lit up our faces. We took our prize back to the van, where my nan showed us how to prepare the rabbit for the table. I remember eating the rabbit for our tea with a great sense of achievement. This initial adventure into the world of hunting fueled my passion for airgunning. Over the subsequent years, I've honed my skills and developed techniques that have enabled me to pursue my quarry with success. I feel the time is right to pass on the knowledge to help other field sports enthusiasts with their quest for success in the field. Over the years, I have established myself locally and nationally as a prominent figure within the airgun community. I've developed lifelong friendships with some of the best airgun hunters in the UK and learned a great deal from those people too, and for that I will be forever grateful. Some of you may recognise me from my shooting forums on certain social media sites, and predominantly through me being a content creator on YouTube, COVID Hunter.